What's up gamers, Fedboy here, and today I got another tutorial for you. Today we're going to be looking at Nemesis, Goddess of Vengeance. Before we start, let's give a quick shout out to my channel partners, STARFORGE SYSTEMS, Surfshark VPN, and AdvancedGG.com. Check out the links on my YouTube page in the description of this video to get deals that support my channel and support my channel partners. Use code FEDBOY at AdvancedGG.com for 10% off your order. FEDDBOII, all caps. And let's get started. So Nemesis is the Greek goddess of vengeance. She's an assassin character who does physical damage, hybrid scaling, and it's a melee character as well. For her passive, Scales of Fate. Hitting enemies with basic attacks reduce the target's in-hand power, strength, and intelligence while increasing yours. So this way, Nemesis's passive is a turning tide against the enemy god that you're fighting. It's you get those increases per stack 7% with maxing out at 21%, and it lasts for 5 seconds as long as you're hitting the enemy. So again, the longer you fight an enemy, it's gonna tip the scale in Nemesis' favor. That's kind of her whole thing with her kit. So you want to be able to take you don't want to lose a 1v1 as Nemesis. I think those are the hallmarks of playing this character, and she's kind of built that way, which means if she is attacked by multiple people that aren't CCing her well or don't have the ability to stand up to her, it's probably someone you want to avoid, especially early. Her first ability is Swift Vengeance. Dash in a line, passing through all enemies, deals physical damage to all enemies hit, may dash again within 2 seconds. So this is a double dash. She has 2 seconds to decide whether she wants to fire that second one or not. And any enemy that she dashes through, she's going to deal damage to all of those enemies. Her second ability is Slice and Dice, slashing a cone, dealing physical damage to all enemies hit. Enemies in the center of the slash take additional damage and are slowed. Now this is something you can show if you do normal casting. You can see where this cone is if you're not used to it yet. But basically you want to be aiming for the center to hit any god, every god that you can in that center cone, because they will take the additional damage, plus they are slowed. The center damage scaling is 80% strength, plus 75% intelligence, with the outer sides being a little bit less than that. Obviously that's a big gap of 30 damage to the center versus the outside, so you really do want to aim for that center cone. Her third ability is Retribution. You gain a health shield for a duration, heal for a percentage of the damage taken during the effect, reflect a percentage of the damage taken from gods as physical damage. So as you can see in the corner there, hard crowd control effects remove the shield. This is a very situational ability, but it's also very powerful and kind of makes Nemesis who she is, aside from all abilities do really, but this one is key for boxing as Nemesis. You don't want to burn it too early, because most gods in this game have some form of CC. If there's a stun, a cripple, these are all things that will knock up. These will all take away the shield. So once that's down, there's that known feeling that you're now vulnerable. But the other part of this is the heal aspect. So that's heal is 50% of damage blocked, and it scales with your intelligence. So she does benefit from some intelligence scaling as well. And that's why you kind of want to build her in a hybrid way. But I stick to more of a strength and a defensive scaling Nemesis as well. This is shield health scaling is 7.5% max health. So this shield can get pretty big, especially put some health items on her. But again, the key is to not let the enemy. Again, it's situational. You can't control everything, but try to find instances where you can make use of it, where you know big damage is incoming without CC, and use that to reflect back that 35% of the damage blocked back onto the enemy. Her final ability is Divine Judgment. Choose a single enemy god, dealing physical damage to them and all enemies in the area around them. You gain movement speed and a percentage of the enemy's protections. Reduce enemy's movement speed and protections by the same amount. So as you can see here, well, the information about these are percentages. So 10%, 12.5%, up to 20% of the current enemy's health. That's a big chunk. It may not sound like a lot, but when it's 20% of any god, that's doing quite a bit of health. The best part about this is the protections and the movement speed. While you're making your enemies weaker, they're also easier to chase down. So this really is that ultimate ability for her, in that she's picking one god out, and the thing is, this can hit multiple. So I do have some videos like in my shorts of me hitting 2 gods with this ability. There's no like multiplier, so it doesn't get bigger if you hit more than one god, but it does affect all of them. But it will. But the biggest effect that you can get from the god, so whether it's like a tank or a ADC, it will choose the one with the higher health pool as the person affected. It will choose that's the person that the bonuses you'll get from, basically. So you don't get like stacking on extra people the more you hit. It will take the biggest one and give that bonus to you, and the rest you're just dealing damage. So let's enter practice and see how she works. These are all good builds. Hasten Fatalis on the high basic attack damage, which is this item right here. It's been nerfed quite a bit, so there could be more of a trade-off just getting more power, especially since you have slows already built in. You don't really need Fatalis. I build it on her sometimes, but sometimes I also go with the more slow and just like movement speed decreasing kind of build, where I'm looking for ways to slow down the enemy instead of just increasing my own speed. Hybrid Bruiser is a great way to build her. If you're going to try out a solo lane, I would recommend solo lane now, but if you have the right skill and the mentality to play in a solo lane, Nem style, I would say go for it. High ability damage is another way you can play her. Going in, not really focusing on your basic attacks, and just getting a hard hitting 2, getting your shield up as strong as possible, because it scales off of strength as well. So the ability damage from Nem is also very, very powerful. I'm going to show you my personal build just so you can see if you like it or not. I know it wasn't fit for most people, but this is how I play her. So Relic will usually depend on what the enemy team looks like, depending on how much built-in CC immunity they have. It'll also depend on their makeup. Are they more magical than physical? Do they have more tanky characters? What kind of health pools am I dealing with? Do they have a more squishy comp where they've gone mostly damage and they have a solo front line, so maybe one warrior or one guardian, and the rest are assassins, mages, or hunters? It usually depends on what the enemy team's makeup is, because then I will choose a different relic. So often, the 3 that I use are Blink Rune, Phantom Shell, and Beads. Sometimes it may call for an Aegis, but typically with Nemesis kit, you're not really going to be worrying about this because there's going to be ways to survive built in. But Blink is typically a good one. Phantom Shell can be decent if you're trying to chase down people for let's say, for example, Odin, or they have an Emir on the team, and you want to get through those barriers without having to dash around them. Phantom Shell's great to have. It'll give you a shield. You can walk through player-made walls, because as Nemesis, the worst thing that can happen to you is you get CC'd out and you can't pursue the enemy who's trying to run away. You want to stick to them like glue as Nemesis. Like, the whole point of her kit and her playstyle is you're going to punish the enemy team for their hubris. Them thinking that they can win a battle, so you need to be patient and you need to be crafty with the way you fight them. So for this case, I'm just going to take Blink. For my build, I'm just going to go to 20 so we can get this already filled up. So my build on Nemesis, I typically go a Bombus Dagger to start, which will then turn into the Bombus Spear. First item after that, I will go into attack speed and grab Golden Blade. She's one of the few gods in this game that I actually think Golden Blade is fantastic on, because you're right here, it says basic attack steal 25 plus 10% of your item protections, as well as physical damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters of the target, which should tell you immediately that I'm going to be building some protections on Nemesis. So right after that will be another defensive item, which is Berserker Shield. So you get 20 Fizz and 20 Magical, and 25% attack speed plus 5 health regen. As you can see, I'm already building her a lot differently than what the what the game would recommend building her. But again, this is my personal build. Don't trust me, you'll still be able to do plenty of damage. And the best part is you'll be able to clear camps without having to use your abilities quite often. So this third item here is usually a situational item. Depending on how far ahead or behind I am in the game, I'll go one or the other. But there's 3 possible slots in for this third item. The first one is Pharaoh's Curse, which is 40 magical protection, 40 physical protection, 15% attack speed, and the active, which is enemies within 5.6 meters are affected by a 20% slow and a 20% reduced attack speed for 6 seconds on a 1 minute cooldown. So, why is this a good item? Well, you get more prots, which means you get more damage to your Golden Blade. You also get more attack speed, which you do want attack speed on them if you're going this build. And you also slow the enemies that are within your range. And they also have reduced attack speed. So if you're fighting, for example, an Amaterasu or any of the various hunters, this is a great item to slow them down. You're fighting a attack speed Zeus or an attack speed Poseidon. This is another great item because you're also getting that magical protection. So we're going to add, so this is one that you could add. The other item I also slot into here at this point, if I'm ahead and I want to do more damage, I'm going to add Kinsblade. 30 strength, 25% attack speed. Your basic attacks deal bonus physical damage to gods equal to 4% of their max HP. I could slot this in later. It is part of her like essential build for me, so depending again if I'm ahead or behind, I'll usually pick one or the other. So this is another good one to add into her kit. Now, not attack speed, but going into this third slot is Shield of the Phoenix. Why? Because you get 30 physical protection. You also get 250 max health plus a 10 plus 10 on your cooldown rate. And then anytime you hit an enemy guy with your ability, you are healed for 2% of your maximum health and mana. So why is this key? Well, it procs on your shield. It procs on your slice and dice. It procs on your ultimate. And it procs on your vengeance. So if you hit them with the first dash or the second dash, it doesn't matter. Shield of the Phoenix will proc on this ability. So she can proc this across 4 abilities. You're getting your use out of Shield of the Phoenix. You also get that 10 cooldown rate to your total cooldown, which Nemesis, fortunately, you're not building a whole lot of it on her, but you do get 20 once you hit 20 with Bumba's Spear. So, having this ability, giving yourself 2% mana and health every time you hit a god with an ability, it's going to help you stay in the fight longer. So for the sake of this build, I'm going to go ahead and add Pharaoh's Curse. I'm going to add Kinsblade because I usually do buy it, and I'm going to add Shield of the Phoenix. Because typically I buy all 3. There's some other items you can fit in these slots as well. You can add Executioner if you want that extra piercing effect for penetration. You can add Hasten Fatalis if you like. Again, it's been nerfed a few times. I don't really see the value as much anymore with this item after they kept nerfing and people kept crying. I mean, it's just a skill issue to me. Like, they're so tired of fighting it that they cried to high res to fix it. But I still think it's a skill issue. Like, honestly. So other than that, there's a lot of things you can fit in this last spot here. It all depends on how you're really feeling. If you're looking for damage, since we're kind of moving away from Hasten Fatalis this patch, I'd go with Sunbeam Bow. You're going to be in someone's face, you're going to get more attack speed, and you're going to be able to just blast people with damage. And this does combine with Golden Blade. You're going to see a lot of yellow numbers popping out with Sunbeam Bow. You can also go XC if you like. You can even grab Demon Blade or Death Metal. These are all anything that brings up your attack speed. You could even add Embrace of the Abyss for the intelligence, and or Ragisar for the intelligence as well. Those will then stack on to your shield for the int scaling. And if you're playing a team game and you want to help out not just yourself but your ADC and your mage, maybe you have some high attack speed teammates, go ahead and grab Shogun's Afuda. I mean, I think this is great. You get 35 extra percentage on your attack speed. So you got the 15 plus the 20, you get the 20 to your allies, and it's extra defense. And again, you're getting damage from your Golden Blade anyways. And with all of her protections, now with the items across, the active, the shield, you have a lot of defense as well as your hybrid offense. And again, if you're hitting people in the center of that cone, you're dealing double the damage. Because you have extra cooldown, you'll get it up sooner. These are all things to stay in the fight longer as Nemesis, so you want fights to go long. You want the enemy team to not escape your reach. That's the whole point of playing it. That's why I also got Blink, and that's why I also have the double dash in her ability. You want to stick around and fight as many people as possible and take down as many people as possible. So for that last item, for the sake of this build, I'm going to go ahead and slot in Sunbeam Bow. In fact, if you want more damage up front, you can probably switch the order and add this in front of Kin's Blade, and then you can use Sunbeam Bow as a way to help your teammates deal damage onto towers. Alright, let's go ahead and get our boy Amir a little bit higher in level. Now I'm going pretty long with this tutorial already, but I want to show you all the things you can do with Nemesis. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit him with these. Dash, 1.
Your fate is sealed!
Both did damage. Not a whole lot. It's not really meant to be a high damaging ability, but it is something that you can do to both clear wave with. I wouldn't recommend it that way though. It's something to kind of get yourself through the wave so you're not body blocked by anything, but then also deal damage for doing it. Next, we're going to use all slice and dice, and you'll see the cone very briefly. Okay, moving up there. So let me go ahead and just turn this on to normal cast really quick. Let's put our cooldowns on too. So, as you can see, this is your center cone that you want to aim for with Nemesis. The pink is the double damage and the slow, so you want to hit your enemies in this realm. But for the sake of the video, let's go ahead and add a couple of Ymirs in. One over there. So you'll see now, outside of this cone, let's see if we can get it perfect. There we go. I'm going to hit both the Ymirs in the middle and the Ymirs on the outside as well. And you'll see the reduced damage. 128, 128, and then the 244 on the center Ymirs. Alrighty, that was our slice and dice. Now it's going to be a little hard to show the next benefit, which is the Retribution Shield. But I can show you a few things because I would like to see some enemies first to hit me, but I don't think they built that into the practice yet. So let's take some tower shots. Alright, I went ahead and took some damage there. Now I'm going to pop my shield.
I am ready!
As you can see, it's a very quick shield. It only lasts for about a couple seconds. So it's not going to be your like, oh, I'm going to tank this tower with this shield.
Come and get me!
Yeah, you can probably take one shot, and then the second one, you don't have a chance. But it's a great way to move through. So let's say I wanted to get to the other side and take less damage.
Come at me! You cannot escape me!
Now it's a little bit, off timing because I have my insta-cast off. But I'm pretty sure if you tried really hard, you could get through there with just one tower hit going to your shield. Let's go ahead and fix that really quick. Gameplay. Put it back over to instant. Alright.
I'm coming for you!
I prefer to play that way. You don't have to play that way. Now let's go over her last ability, which is the Divine Judgment. So, actually, I'll put it back on normal. Just so you guys can see the targeter. So here you can see there's a couple of mirrors in this one. I can hit all three here. And then if I move it over, I can only hit one. Let's see, the cooldown is still on. So I'm going to show you first just hitting one mirror.
Your powers are mine!
As you can see, we also get these increased movement speed and the increased protections. At the bottom there for 5 seconds. Let's go ahead and add this guy back. And again, this was that 20% damage I'm talking about. It may not seem like much, but that's actually a lot to somebody, especially when you're getting hit by multiple basic attacks. I'm going to go ahead and mirror old boy up here. And now let's try it on the three of them so you can see.
Your powers are mine!
As you can see, it hit all of the Emirs. I see this wasn't a thing in Smite 1. This is a new thing for Smite 2 for Nemesis. So this is now an AoE ability, but you only get
the
the
bigger
benefit
they are,
of
the
one.
harder they fall.
Alrighty. As you can see, my attack is also at 2.41, so you can get an idea of how fast Nemesis can melt a prot-shredded person.
Your powers are mine! Wah! Ah!
First, he's gone. And again, you want to use your blades to stick to people. You can dash through with your one.
You cannot escape me!
Hit multiple targets. And then also yours two to select multiple targets. Alright, that was the quick guide for Nemesis. Thanks for watching. And again, enjoy playing Smite 2.